What's going on, guys? Big Mike, the 717 Outlaw, back with part 3 of the RCC Stage 1 kit that we are installing on my 1407cc Hayabusa. Any of you guys that are new to the channel, we had this motor built. It's ready to do about a 10-12 pound boost application. We're not going to run that high just because of streetability. I don't want to push the motor beyond its limits all the time. I'd rather kind of play it a little conservative and keep it back a little bit, just to maintain rideability. But anyway, part 1, we did the turbo install itself. We also did the oil feed for it. Now part 2, we did the in-tank fuel system modifications, which included removing the OEM pump, OEM fuel pressure regulator, and then removing a couple little pieces inside the fuel tank to accommodate the new larger fuel pump that we will be installing later. Now on to part 3, we're going to be modifying the radiator to make room for, 1, eliminating the oil cooler, which will not be reused, and then making sure that everything clears the new manifold for the turbo. And then we will be doing a map sensor install, which comes with the kit. You're not relocating the old map sensor or anything like that. And then we also have a fuel rail modification to go with this. We are going to be using the stock fuel rail. I know RCC does have a larger fuel rail. It's a full billet rail. I'm not really pushing that high in the power to need the billet fuel rail, but it is an option. But we're just going to modify the OEM one to make it work. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive into this, guys. Well, apparently my Dremel doesn't want to cooperate, so we're gonna see how this works. Probably wouldn't recommend this way, but it worked. So he bent this bracket flat. This, you actually bend it down, but we're going to go ahead and move this with the install. Just try to make it work if you have to. Zip tie it to the inside of this cage just to keep it clear of the header. That's pretty much all you're doing with this bracket, is just to make sure it clears the header. So we removed oil cooler bracket, we removed the center post, and again, left side of the left side oil cooler, need help with that. That's where the long rubber neck's going to be. Right side, there's nothing here at the bottom of the radiator. So left side, middle, left side. Alright guys, radiator modifications are done. That's pretty much it. We won't be putting it back on just because we don't have the cold side piping done. Go ahead and leave the radiator off, but just do those modifications, and then now we're on to the next step. And also to say with this, we are doing this by the books per RCC. I'm not trying to do my own run on it. This is exactly how they tell you from RCC to install these kits. You just don't see these videos. That's why I'm doing it by the books for them, and hopefully help anybody else out that might run into some issues. But we're on to the map sensor. RCC makes this pretty simple. You're going to take the original spot where your airbox hooked up. Gives you this nice little triangle flange. Sensors mounted. We do have, of course, the T that goes with it. That will be going in a second. We have this part of the harness that is given to you in the kit. We're going to go ahead and plug this in. Ooh, that's a tight fit. Alright, so we're going to head and put that in. We're going to go ahead and run this on the right side of the motor. Plug it into the original sensor. Pull this T out, and where this T is removed in between cylinders 2 and 3, you're going to go ahead and put the new T in. Map sensor installed. Alright guys, map sensor's on. Lines are run. So we have our wire going down here to our plug, or at least the extension of the harness. Also that tube, try to route it relatively out of the way. We went underneath everything, came around, brought it up to the T in the line. However, that T, I'd recommend that when you install this, disconnect these two pieces of gray line between cylinders 2 and 3. Take the sensor, the T that comes with the kit, put those two pieces of gray line on both sides, then install it, because the head or the T on the new sensor is a lot bigger than this. So these little tips, they're a little bit thicker, and it's a little hard to get that piece of line on, but just something simple. But yeah, go ahead, put that in, and on to the next. Next on the list, we're going to go ahead and remove the fuel rail and the injectors. So I numbered mine 1 through 4. That way they're pretty easy just to throw back on. But we're going to go ahead, get these injectors off, and start modifying the new fuel rail, or the old fuel rail. Alright, we got our fuel rail out, we got everything disconnected. Keep the injectors in the fuel rail. That's the easiest way to do that. So what we're going to do, we do have to modify this hose here. We're going to go ahead, pull it off the engine. We're going to cut it so that way it goes inside. So the fuel rail usually lies here. We're going to cut this tube so it's on the inside of the fuel rail. And yeah, let's go ahead and modify this. Alright, so we got that piece of pipe off, exactly like I was saying. In the instructions, we're going to be moving this position of this hose so that way it can get around the fuel rail with the modifications, and it's going to be going with the air box, if I remember correctly. So all I gotta do is do a little bit of trimming. Alright, we took probably about inch and a half off. Go ahead and remount this, and then we'll be on to the fuel rail, much where we want it. The other thing too, RCC gives you a hose clamp. I'd recommend replacing it. I just don't like these fittings. They're kind of a pain. Plus, yeah, just get rid of it. Alright guys, so what you're going to do is pull apart this middle section here. Remove the O-rings. Please be very careful with these because not hard to break them. But go ahead. We're going to reinstall them onto our new section. And make sure that this nut, brass nut here on the top is facing up. So if you have to flip the T either way, go ahead and do it and it should be ready to go. Alright. Snapped in place. Go ahead and reinstall the fuel rail. Alright. Fuel rail is in with our new connection. We went ahead and hooked up the injectors. Sorry for some of the excess wiring. I have a lot of other stuff wired into this bike. The air shifter, I have a light kit on it. There's the selector switch for the horn air shifter button, PC5. Yeah, there's just a lot of extra wiring, but we have everything hooked up. We're going to go ahead and actually remove this tape. We're supposed to remove the upper butterflies, which is going to be these ones here, and that should be about it. And then we have one other thing and we'll be ready to install the new fuel system. Alright guys, well our crankcase vent is going to end it for part 3. So far what we did here in part 3 is we modified the radiator to accommodate the new manifold and turbo mounting position. We installed a new map sensor. We ran all the new lines for the map sensor, hooked it up to the OEM harness with the kind of the jumper that RCC gives you in the kit. We went into the fuel rail side of things. We removed the fuel rail, modified a small breather hose that is on it. Usually this hose is on the outside of the fuel rail. We modified it to put it inside the fuel rail. Removed the original fuel tank connection, put the new RCC billet aluminum and brass connection in. So this is going to be where our new fuel lines are going to connect to. This, you want to make sure though that this brass adjustment nut is, or bolt is facing up. You don't want that to be underneath. We went ahead and did our crankcase vent, removed the reeds out of the crankcase, and then we of course went to the throttle bodies and removed the upper valves. Now out of the two, just more than likely you guys know this, the upper valves are silver. The gold ones down below there are the bottom valves. Those are the ones you want to keep in. Remove the silver, keep the screws out, so that way it's just this little rail with the threaded inserts. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The next part we'll be doing on the bike is going to be installing the new fuel pump, which is going to involve removing or disconnecting the rear shock, so that way we can use a small gap that they have tucked back behind the motor, which is where the new fuel pump is going to sit. But anyway, we will get to that in the next upload. As always guys, I hope you liked this video. Drop those comments, let me know how I did. I've loved you guys' feedback on the last 2 parts. A few people have been saying that nobody really does this. They usually install the kit, go straight to tuning, go straight to racing. I don't see videos of this install. I kind of wanted to put this out there, so if anybody has questions, drop those comments down below. If you can help me out, maybe if there was something that you think would be better than what comes in the kit, but RCC honestly has a complete kit. Like, I have yet to run into an issue where I don't have something or this isn't how it's supposed to go. This kit is complete. So anyway, I will catch you guys on the next one. Remember, ride safe, ride smart, always wear your helmet, hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you on the next one. See you guys.